Good afternoon. Margaret, can you confirm whether you can see me and hear me?
Hi, Julian. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay, one moment, please, everyone. Okay, one moment. One moment, everyone. All right, can you see me and hear me now?
Yes, I can see you. I can hear you.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. And I would like to welcome you to our second virtual investor session, just to try and keep everyone up to date, and then also answer questions from our clients. So before we go too far, I will actually ask Emma Somiakwao, she's one of our co-head of sales, just to give us the opening prayer. Then I'll come back and let everyone know what to expect. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jillian. Let us pray. Our Lord and our Master Jesus, we are grateful unto you for a wonderful day like this. We've gathered once again to learn. We've gathered one day to encourage ourselves. We also pray that calm every heart so that whatever information we give out, whatever we discuss will turn out to be of a success. This we pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So on the call, the main person that will be speaking and fielding questions today will be Kojo Adaimensa, the group CEO for Databank. So very soon he will come on. We also have a representative from SEC as well, who will also be on, and I believe we'll ask him to say a few words, and then he can answer any questions to the best of his ability. So I just wanted to let you know that. The second thing I wanted to let everyone know and ask is, please, if you have a question, put it in the Q&A and not the chat. That way we can just kind of focus on the Q&A and get the questions answered, to as many questions answered as possible. But if we use the Q&A and the chat, then it becomes sometimes a bit problematic to try and manage both. And then not everybody gets their questions answered. So if you can, please just stick with the Q&A, and then that way we can track and answer as many questions as possible. Then we also have, so I had wanted to introduce Anthony, but he's still joining. He was with us the last time we had the message. So once he joins, I will introduce him as well. So for now, I will turn it over to Kojo, and he can say a few opening words. And then we'll continue from there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jillian. I hope I can be seen and heard as well. Okay, thank you very, very much. And I'd like to once again take this opportunity to thank all of you who have taken time off, whatever it is you're doing, to come and at least listen to us, so that we can also take as many questions as we can. So I don't think I'll talk for long, and then I'll start fielding the questions that I can. But just to recap, you will all recap that we did the very first one of this on 29th November. At the time, the bigger issue even was the mark-to-market directive that had come through. And Anthony, if you're on the line, I'd like to thank you again for joining us that time and also answering some of the questions from the regulator's perspective. And if anything from the regulator's perspective comes again, we'll be grateful if you can help us. So thank you very much, Securities and Exchange Commission. But yes, we had that session, which the feedback we got was it was well taken, and that we had opened up and explained everything to clients, especially as to why the value of their investment or the price was dropping. Not long after that, the debt exchange program, so that was 29th November, then not long after that, the debt exchange program also was announced on December 5th. So already the prices of the bonds we were holding was dropping steeply and very rapidly, which was making clients very unhappy and they couldn't understand. And we tried to explain that. But when the debt exchange program was then announced on 5th December, what that did was it effectively shut down the secondary market. So the market where we hold the government bonds, where we can go and sell the bonds so we can come and pay your redemption, that market had closed. So here you're holding a government bond that you would normally, under normal circumstances, be able to sell quite easily so that we can pay redemptions. That market had closed. And honestly, in my entire career, I'm not sure this has really happened. Even the steepness with which the bond prices were going, I have not seen it in my entire career. And I've been doing banking for quite a while. I mean, 23 plus years is quite a while. I hadn't seen that before, but that's what happened. And then based on that announcement, the expectation was that by the 19th of December, all bonds or all bondholders who would subscribe, let's note that it was somewhat a voluntary exchange program. By 19th December, all those who would subscribe would have tendered in their bonds and settlement would have happened. And then on 23rd December, and then the market opens again. And we were expectant that we'll be having that liquidity to pay your redemptions. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And the program was postponed to the 30th of December, with settlement expected on 6th of January. But because of the liquidity situation and the demand for redemptions, we had engagements with the regulators, both the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Ministry of Finance, and to some extent the Bank of Ghana as well, to say, okay, no problem, the debt exchange program is going on, conversations are going on. Some of you will remember Labour came out agitating that they didn't like some aspects of it. Our industry too, we're having conversations regarding mutual funds especially, and the collective investment schemes, the vulnerability of the people, the underlying clients there. So yes, they did then promise that they needed then to provide some interim liquidity for us to be able to meet the redemption requests that were coming through. That has still not yet happened. We are very expectant that that will happen sooner than later, but it hasn't still happened. We are still in conversations and negotiations with them. But what then happened was that clients then, even though a lot of the clients have been very patient, very understanding, some of them called to just even get better explanation, because sometimes what goes out in the media, you know, is really, it has some noises in there. There are people who don't fully understand the situation, but they are on air and speaking. So they come to us and then we take our time and explain. And I must say, a lot of clients have been very patient and supportive and understood us in the process that we are going through. Unfortunately though, and I understand, I mean, let's not get me wrong, I do understand that there are some clients too who have gotten very, very upset about the situation. And even some, it's not just being upset, but there's genuine need. Here are people who have even deferred courses. Now they are ready for the course They want to come for their money. There are people who need to do medical procedures, people who need medication for diabetes, for hypertension, all that. We fully empathize and understand. And they want their money. They are coming for their money. Normally, it's been happening. Those of you who have been with us for long, M-Fund, you come within 48 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, you're getting your money. Things were not like this. I mean, government was responding to its obligations because, in fact, M-Fund is literally all in Government of Ghana paper. And I keep saying, and I keep trying to explain to clients that this is not a situation where we took money and gave some form of loan to some contractor or something who then had maybe a government transaction or had some transaction they came to show us. No, all this has gone directly into Government of Ghana paper. We recently finished our AGMs. If you took the annual report of M-Fund specifically, you see all the Government of Ghana holdings that are sitting there, you know. So it's money that we gave directly, literally, to government, and you would expect that government will not default. I mean, for years and years and years, even in our economics literature, business literature, the saying goes that government paper is risk-free, but that is turning out not to be entirely true. So what then happened was we started getting our staff being verbally abused, physically abused in some cases, threats of burning down the buildings, threats of knifing, and stuff like that. And I honestly, we didn't think that, in spite of all the problems that are happening, it's not a specific Databank problem, it's an industry problem. But we understand that we are the biggest, we are the largest, we are the longest, and so our client base is very, very, very huge. So whatever happens here affects a lot of people. So I just thought we couldn't just risk the situation where somebody is maimed or hurt before we start taking decisions to protect both clients and staff. Because in some cases, we've had situations where clients are trying to calm other clients down within the banking halls. And those clients are also being physical to the clients that are trying to calm them down. So we thought, look, it was very dangerous to keep the offices physically opened. And luckily for us, we in March and April 2020, if you all recall, we had the ability and the ability to work remotely 100%. So it's not like we are shutting down because we can't work, or we don't work, or we're running away, or whatever it is that some of the media people are saying. But it's really important that we also do not endanger the lives of clients and of staff, because that would also turn into something different. So we decided that we'll have to then, in the meantime, work from home, still engage with you through our digital channels that most of you are already used to. Be it as it may, the last thing maybe I'd like to state again is, some of you may have heard that the debt exchange program has again been postponed now to the 16th of January with settlement on 24th January. But that notwithstanding, even this, just before this call, a few hours ago, I was still in touch with our contact at the ministry, who is still telling me that they are really, really working hard. We are really working hard, pushing everybody, because we are feeling it. We face you every day, and we are feeling the branch, and we need them to support us with the liquidity to meet very genuine claims that are coming through. But I'll really like to thank all of you for the patience you've had for listening to us. And then I'll also, maybe you have some ideas we could all pick to improve the situation and ensure how best it is that we can meet the redemption requests that are coming through. So I'll really like to thank you all, and I'm ready to take any questions if Anthony is not yet ready.
Yeah. Kojo, so before you go too far and before we get into the questions, I would like you to summarize what you said
In three I know.
the benefit of
I knew
those.
that was coming. I knew the
Yes.
tree was coming.
And
Yeah.
then we'll move into the question.
I knew the tree was coming. Maybe I'm a minimum bonnet off and I'm a canny trees. I don't know. You na a be a brofu be brain. Yes, yeah. A semna ban modis cane ban ye can tree the day they are fed yet. A sema ban day the brofun quan air tie china ye de dada. And yes, say dada will be a yen dada will be a semna, but near on say Mubekaya adia ye meeting ye about 29th November. So time na the Bruni can say mark to market number. Na me ba be chirichiri mu. In fact, if you hokra mo kumase na ebi amate makoy pa mako hello mako Kesben akokasa me chirichiri mu say ni nti ana mo especially mo fan na ebo no eba from the say aban krata ye de sika no kotoye no aban krata na bo no eba from. Na yen if we say start years ejuma we yen hu bi da po say aban krata to me ba form a eba form gidi posa ubehwe na otwe ba ko pe na bo na ba form a ntie bia ubehwe no na 100 cedis na afi de oba ubisa say 70 me ade ma me cheche mu te se na bia obekodwem bia oton tomatoes wa koto tomatoes no aye nkunta onim se tomatoes we are me turn 100 cedis dey me cotton me nya ho paso 10 cedis ba okodru dream no se na abaye no na tomato bo abafo oye dey na oton pe na chese waboka se bi okobo obosi aka na chese se okope sika free baby na ode bata ho na ansana nti no 29 November hono na ye cheche mo anche bia na government aban announcement wo de assembly bab ebetu dwa se if wo de ba December 5 the betu just say edwana yede wo aban krata na yedi didwan baby a yedi aban krata ho dwan wo de program bi ba mbati say ye kwa IMF wo de program bi ba na program no say na ye ba no announcement na wo de ye na che say edwa no ya tum nti asa wo me de KJT abeya ade mfato na wo pese okoton wa de wo beduru one ye de padlock atuma untumi nton yen so ye aban krata ya ye kitai ye ni kwan chen kwa ye betumi akoton wo kwan chen a ye de be aba be de musika abemo chisa aban ebie sa edwa no broni friend no secondary bond market nti wato aban krata ukita aban krata 500 uko edwa no so a na nka ebia esimesi a na obenti wa ba o se sika kakra de buy no de o pe wa de me see you enye boni mikita aban krata nti me de ko na makọ akoton na maba me ko ya to dwenum because almost so mo na IMF idin kita ho nti e ba ne san na ye ne mo a mo hwe ye so aban ko fa mo hwe ye so ye Ministry of Finance Securities and Exchange Commission Bank of Ghana na ye no started din kita ho ka che on say okay ya te ase mo de mo ne mo IMF fo e bon na so mo bon komo a mo ye fato mo ye nhihye ni na amanfo gina ye pono no a mo pe o sika nso mo na ye de brem enye se me de sika na koma contractor bi ana obi a o say o koye aban contract na nti aban tia ne kan san wa ma nya ne sa mo aban na ye de sika na brem direct enye se ye de kofa baby po ye de abehye mo nsa efititi ye nim se aban de o de sika koma na time so a emre ne so a o de sika bebro na afi de ne ekosi ya te ase mo na mo se enioma ayedin kana aban abusia aban abono akoso so do nti se say na se mo hwe na mo ye nsem no problem mo ye nsem na enso nkofo na ejira ye boano na omo pe musika na ye on den nkofo omo hia sika omo de ko school ebi a omo hia sika omo de ko hospital obi wo wa diabetes ne ma me dampem ye na da oba ye ho na wakwa pe bibi kaka na for the Korean mammy and ne papa and ne baby niade. One see I can't enter because one more sika no so and you say the koye bibia and ye emra kwans bibia ya na edamra kwans to do it ya na mo yensa almost one more hwe ye ne mo hwe ye de baby bibia ma ebi no menya abotre enso abotre de obetumi enya adum pempen so bi efri ho a abotre no so ebekọ nti ne ma ne se eduru baby na afi de clients ni bi wo ho a won mu ehunu hwan ebi no mu catch and say ye beba anopa no na o ma hyenan no wu nipa oti ho no wu minimum fee o ye kra meba be wo sikanya bia na Nenimbre, Ebiana, out of a buffoni at the end or they can, but Obinsu to be dignity, Oberhena Fede, Yan call for ya money dinkita, well betting yes back at the hospital, ya one and Sikanya, then I'm saying no, it's not only here said no, I did your customers in the crap will be what. They didn't kakane cost for banking hall now. One more person on bois my amount for both John. I won't crap on that. It do what ye did you on my 10 year day. Until I feel that the DNA before no, I too much. Mean, Pessa, I feel there will be back pray we are and son, I can say. And a yen to dine him now. Ye bet me I juma free fee near Tibiano, ye bet me I juma free fee. Ye bet me I meeting on Zoom, ye bet me star 6100 and the star 737. Me now phone call BBI, ye bet me I and yes, ye Janiaco baby and now say ye BB sir, but send I and I say ye bought ye so ye staff and ye clients not a home buying. Now ye uncle Basse, I feel buying to me into a cantina fedia, ni pound so echo. A woman say, Imenia bochache, bosom nature, but yene buying a dinkita where so mucha can, umcha cape, yedubia esika beba bema, the American subi say, yambu brabiaso, yedim ranso pepe, na a drum, baby, I ever could dra I, a banker, I kitan, ye beton, ye musicama. Say no, ya tum inti ye ho hwe say edin but ye no omo dis da so din kita won pa ye ni abre pa ye no omo ka madam ase.
Thank you.
Acho obi pese obi sa question kwa e wo twi mu how dey throw twi no metumi akan na mate ase. I told them that they could type in tree as well. I'll read it. I'll be able to read the tree and
Okay. All right, so we'll get into the questions right away because there are quite a number of them coming in. The first one I'll start with says, knowing how much labor invested in negotiations to protect the individual worker and finally succeeded, what is the parallel of the pensions negotiation effort for mutual funds, since you also hold quite a volume of investments for individuals walking on a tightrope to invest for a hopefully better future? Thank you.
I'll be answering the questions as frankly and truthfully as I can. And yes, we have been in several meetings with the minister to explain to the minister that the collective investment schemes, just like they were looking at the pensions, has even more vulnerable underlying clients. These are clients with 2,000 cedis, 5,000 cedis, 3,000 cedis here and there. And seriously speaking, Databank alone has over 300,000 of such. You cannot say they are not vulnerable. And you need to ensure that once you are exempting individuals, that was the basis of our argument, that once you are exempting the individuals, you cannot not say you'll be exempting the collective investment schemes. And we thought we made a very strong case for it so that they could understand. But as you heard in the announcement that came on, was it 25th of December, right now, the individual decision has been rolled back as at now. And it's making it look like all individuals are now being put together in the program. So it shook the CIS argument a bit. Notwithstanding, we haven't given up on it. But let's note, I mean, everybody, I think, should bring their mind to this. Let's note, if you recall in one of the communiques that came, access to the Financial Stability Fund. There was a Financial Stability Fund that was to be provided in supporting the liquidity needs. It made it subtle, but it was there that conditionally, to be able to access the Financial Stability Fund, you needed to be part of the exchange program. Now, those labor unions who have pushed for pensions not to be part, from what I read, it means that they will not have access to the Financial Stability Fund, and they will still then have to fully rely on the government. So it's not an entirely clear situation, or to say that, or 100% situation to say if you're exempt, then you are fine. It's not necessarily like that. But we did make a very strong parallel argument, trust me on that, together with our regulator who was with us and behind us.
Okay, so the next question, I'll combine two into one. One person asks about having an investment in Eddy Fund, saving for his daughter. He wants to know whether he will lose his money, he or she. And then the second question is, someone is asking what happens to people with B Fund and EPAC. So you can
Okay.
just take those two.
So what it is let me start with Eddy Fund. Eddy Fund 2, I don't know if it's Eddy Fund 1 or Eddy Fund 2, but Eddy Fund 2. Eddy Fund 2 has a bit of equity in there. So those of you, especially in the equity, in the funds that have some equity, like B Fund, EPAC, Eddy Fund 2, you already were a bit used to some fluctuations because sometimes the prices go up and the prices come down. So that volatility always exists. So it depends on the time you are coming in for your money, especially those who understand EPAC. There are times when you are coming and the price has dropped because the stock markets are dropping. Fixed income markets do not, at least in Ghana, were not really ever dropping. And I say this is the first time this is happening so drastically and so quickly. So to the extent that the money sits in a very legitimate investment, government and stock, and the price keeps going, then it's all about the timing. If you come in at a time that the price has dropped, it will mean that and especially if you came in at a time the price never went up, say you bought 100, it went up to 160 and then maybe dropped to 140, or you came in at a time when you bought 100 and then the prices started dropping, then you lose some money. So it's all about the time you come in for your money. So you can always monitor the pricing, but traditionally fixed income prices have not been this volatile, but we are now experiencing it in our part of the world for the first time. So B Fund and EPAC, I think it explains that those have equities in them. That means stock market assets in them. So we bought stocks on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The prices can go up and the prices can come down. And that's why they are called balance fund, because they have a bit of the equity and a bit of the fixed income.
So someone, and maybe this next one, please give your answer in both dialects. But so someone says, we understand the reduction in our money, but why is the redemption also delaying?
Okay, so the reason I will explain again why the redemption, especially where it is fixed income and where it is a government of Ghana paper. And our fixed income papers are over 90% government of Ghana. Okay, now you've come in to request for a refund. Normally we keep some level of cash to meet redemption. So until this year, or in fact, until the last 6 months, we were not experiencing this. We would always have some buffer cash to meet the redemption request. So we did not have to go to the market to go and sell the bond that we've bought to come and pay you. What happened was, when the redemption request started coming faster and higher, the cash that we had kept aside per law ran out. So what did we have to do? We had to go to the market to sell the bond to pay your redemption request. Now, in October, November, or let's say from September, the prices were coming down. So you understand that part, I agree. What has happened thereafter is, from 5th December, the debt exchange program was announced. When the debt exchange program was announced, what it meant was that the secondary market where we can go and sell the bonds was shut down. No activity. You can't, and there's no side market or something like that. That is the legitimate market to go and sell the bond to come and pay your redemption. But the market has shut down. The debt exchange program was supposed to have ended originally on 30th December. As we speak now, the new date we have is 24th January. So the market is still closed and we do not have the ability to sell the bond to be able to come and provide you with the redemption. In the meantime, we've been talking to government to say, look, you cannot be doing this to the ordinary Ghanaian. While you are having your negotiations with the IMF, please, please, please provide us with some interim liquidity so we can pay the redemption of the clients. When you are done with your exchange program, we go back to the secondary market. Asemna only akuni bisa and say, okay, price na eba form, sikana na so tenede. Okay, what else here? Na dentina eswat inswa, missing misika, na otri mienu kwa na still sikana mbai. And ana make say, nya only say, yeah, you. A said sikana so tenematias here. Now so if December 5, a bind the year announcement, the card by say, woman IMF a chicken comobi. Na san common or chicken in tino. A bind crat a kita anka, Yabeka cotton, near de usika brown. Sa a jano, yatum. Inti baby ani wo kra mikita ban kratan baby ani ho a mekwa cotton sa ban kratan na me dis kana bro eno nti na afi de echen na wo buy first no mo say ebe wo be 19 December nti ne ye na ye hwe 19 December ni ye wo ho no mo san twen eda no ko echi de ko 30 ye wo ha na say anso ma san twen ko echi e de ko 24 January nti na afi de mo baby sase mo pem sika na aye say chen na enti na echen na emu no na ye no mo bon komo say okay mo de mo ye mo asem mo ne IMF di mo kita mo ndi mo kita na emu na amanfo obre amanfo gina ye plan omo bokoko omo obre amanfo say omo etua fees say omo tua hospital ni nyoma bi mo fasika kakra man enye se ya ye mfumso ya bubra bi so mo amokrata na ekita enti mo amokrata se mutumi man bibi kakra ye de mo amokrata na be bata echi na emom no ye de sika na mam enti na eche no ye ho anu. I hope you understood me, Jillian.
Okay, so the next question is about M funds tier 1 and tier 2.
Good.
And I'll ask the client's question, and then I'll also just ask you to explain to some of those who may not be aware. So if you can explain M fund, the difference between M fund tier 1 and tier 2. That's
okay.
Part of the question. The second part is what are we investing in for M fund tier 2? And then the third part of the question is, will M fund tier 1 and tier 2 be merged later on?
Okay, that's a very brilliant question. At least I think I should have even mentioned that in my intro, but thank you very much. So when the whole mark-to-market thing came about and we realized that the price of M fund was dropping, we didn't think it was proper, and there was now volatility in it. We didn't think it was proper to continue to put new money into the existing M fund, where you bring it today and overnight the price drops. So then, together with the regulator, with approval of the regulator, we created M fund 2, so that all new monies that were coming into M fund will be shepherded away from the volatility that we were having in M fund and the way the price was going down. So I want to believe strongly that those of you who have M fund 2 would have checked your balances, and I don't think your balances have dropped the way you were seeing in M fund 1. Now, if you all recall, M fund used to be a money market fund until the bond market was really bubbling and we came to shareholders and made it a fixed income fund. So we could take advantage of some of the longer dated government paper that would attract some decent returns for you. So what M fund 2 then is doing is we're going back to the original money market characteristics of M fund, where you do not invest in anything longer than 364 days. But even then, because of all the uncertainty going on and the experiences we've had, we've just put and if the fund manager is online and can correct me if I'm wrong, please do so. But we've just put it purely in short-term treasury bills, and I think some bank fixed deposit, very short term, so that we don't experience any volatility at all. That's what we have done. I hope I've explained.
Okay, and could you always remember to balance out your answer with
With tree.
Yes, but
Just a
follow-
second, and let me give a quick response to BOG. Just 1 second.
Okay. So for those of you with hands raised in the meantime, if you could just put your question in the Q&A, then we can get to it as well, because we'll be focusing on questions that are put in the Q&A section. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm back. And just to explain tier 2 again in tree.
Wait, so while you're doing this, there was a follow-up question about can they move their money from M-Fund Tier 1 to Tier 2? And if so, will it be moved using the mark-to-market value?
Okay, so that simple answer is yes. You can do that movement. I mean, we always have, even before all this, people moving money from B fund to M fund to EPAC. So the simple answer is yes. I can't, as I've already explained, promise exactly when it is you can, but yes, if you are moving it, it will be moved to market. And from what the regulator told us the last time, market essentially has come to stay. It's something we'll all need to start learning and understanding, especially in the fixed income space. But that is what will be happening. And to answer the tier 2 in Chi, Mobakaya Tama, yes, Mudisikane ba na ne bone kofom Mudisikane ba na ne bone kofom Ntinia ye ne say Sikafu frobia na ebeba no na yen de ene yen tip ye say Udi sikafu from beba na ade be chen 100 cedis now de buy ade chen ya say 80 cedis. Ntinia ye ne say ye M fund foforo a ye friend tier 2 a sikafu frobia ebeba obi say ode to M fund ho ne ye de be kwa akoto nti se mo amoaye mudi sika ba biom free sa time minka exact time I but em say towards end of November beginning of December hona na sika foforo bi ade aba no e de akoto tier 2 no ubehu sa o check your balance ubehu say eno no eda ho nti eno no yen fam be fra se say nsem na ye nya sika no so te na a bank card answer a kita wo M fund original no yentumi nton ne ade eno no akubisa say nti sa sika na he ne ye de ko na ye ka so se say no te se na M fund tititi no ye de to just treasury bill na enimeni ma ya na enyi ama na chesa amachi ono na enyi na enimeni ya na say ye de koto bank fixed deposit tietia bi ebia na otwe mienu dia na say bosom ba ko bi dia sa no na dia se na na muhu say price na ekoso eba from ye hu no sa te se na ete ewo M fund tier 2 nti se se ne ye no sika foforo bi ebe bibia ye mfam beto dada ne na ankosa anye basa na obi se anso say nke nti ni sika na ewo dada no betumi eyi na odi aba M fund foforo no mana na am say an betumi di aba na anso se na making edwa na ye kodi bebi a ye kodi dwa ye beton aban krata na nka ye ni sika no bekwa akoto M fund foforo no sa dwa no se ya tum a ye twa ma aban ebie omo be wie wo mo nkita ho no mebie nti eno no si a na obetumi edi sika na akọ.
Thank you. Now, Anthony is on the call. So I just wanted to introduce Anthony quickly and ask him if he wanted to say a few words. Anthony, I do actually have a question or two that I think you can help answer as well. But first, let me welcome you. So if you can unmute yourself, let me see. Sorry, let's just see if he can unmute himself.
Hi, Jillian. Good afternoon.
How are you?
I am fine. I'm fine. I think that today's session is for you and Kojo. So I'm just sitting in to listen, and then I'll pick my notes.
You know, you did so well at answering the question on the difference between the amortized value and the market value that I thought I would actually ask you to do it one more time.
Well, Yeah, I think, I mean, most of these questions still, come fresh on my mind. I mean, the investors' questions, actually, I remember one of the questions was what the calamity that we probably will be facing in the future. I mean, so we might say this is one of the calamities we face. But I mean, the most important thing is that the fund managers are there to turn all the adversities into opportunities and turn things around. So of course, every day we come with risk, and then we are able to surmount, take care of those, and then turn them into opportunities and into profitability. So of course, it is not lost. We are able to turn around and make money for investors.
Okay, so wait, I won't let you go just yet. I'm going to actually also ask you just to kind of give the listeners some context in terms of it being an industry issue that we are facing, and kind of, how the regulator is engaging maybe Ministry of Finance and so forth, just to try and also help with some resolution. I think investors would like to hear that.
Yeah, I think the engagements are still ongoing. So, like I said, the other time that I also hold bonds, okay, directly. So, like I said, we are all affected by, the ministry's current position. So, from the commission's standpoint, I think that the Director General is still engaging the Ministry of Finance, and at least should be able to provide some liquidity or so whatsoever for clients, because we know that those holding mutual funds are the unit holders are more smaller unit holders. So of course, the provisions would be made. I think that they are working out. Probably will work out something to be able to help alleviate whatever situation there should be. I do not know the concrete one, but I think that at the end of the day, I'm sure whatever is being worked out would be announced.
Thank you. Thank you. There's a question in the Q&A where someone is looking for a bit more explanation as well about the debt exchange program in general, and what it means to investors. I don't know if you can, maybe you can give your views on it or your explanation of it, your understanding of it. And then Kojo, I'll ask you to also give your
explanation. So our understanding, I think we've all read a lot in the publications made. So debt exchange means that you are holding Government of Ghana instruments or securities. And then at this point, they are not able to pay up their obligations. So what it means is, again, they want to exchange that with a new instrument, or newer instruments. What we are reading, or what we have read in the past few days, is that they would exchange. If you are holding a 2-year bond, they will probably hold that for a much longer period. So basically that's what. So they are exchanging your existing holding with a newer investment. But those who do not have a long-term horizon or investment horizon, then they would have a little challenge. But those who have a long-term, but I think that it's for a period of 16 years, if I read it right, which is quite long. I'm not sure it is a good time for, holders of mutual funds, notwithstanding. But I think that fund managers will see the modalities. The fine details will be provided. My understanding is that then maybe the few weeks ahead, the Ministry of Finance will come up with the fine details regarding some cash exchange, the bonds that are maturing in 2023. They are making some provisions for cash exchange and all that. So we'll see the modalities. They'll flesh out all these details, which I am not currently aware of. Let's see those modalities, how they'll come up with those. And then we are able to take advantage of whichever will present the best opportunity for investors. So the fund managers are there to be able to weigh all these options and to enable them make the right decisions for investors.
Thank you. Kojo, do you have anything to add?
I think what I'll add is I'll try and do a translation rather and try and explain it in Twi. A question I know movies and say that is in I can no and crack and say. They all want to say the mechanic and say I buy a barbeton the crata my hikita. Ebi wo ho a anka ebe nyi ewie bosom ya ebi wo ho a anka afia ebe ebe wie 2023 ebi wo ha anka 2024 mane e won say baby a yedru na ban so ntumi ntua aka na e ka na eda omo so no aboro omo so enti no esese omo de nsisan mu ba enti e bia ukita aban krata anka ebe nyi na ewie 2023 a sese no omo ka cha se fa sa 2023 krata na ukita na bra na e fa 2027 de bi ma ana fa 2024 na bra na fa 2028 the amount nti sana program na omo kan no anu no chese e kana bind the anke say ni menimi ya wo mu etia no wo mu twe akọ echire kaka na ama wo ho ahoa kaka na wo menya sika kaka on betumi edi etia sana ade na kwa akoye nti se ne be nse wa e bia nka enimeni he ya ohia sika no na se okita sa bon ni bi na chese eno na make chese e bia obekọ dwan by then na afi di yasan bie dwan obi wo ho a e bia ono de ne ade a ne nida so no emutwi nti obetumi akita ban krata na ama emu atwe akọ 2027 28 no nti ono de obepese obeto na eho mfaso na bosom miensa bia bosom nsia bia eba no ono de wedidi ho na chese waton na wo de inimenim ha ya waje udi na wo de ko tinia na o kan na nsa na asemba akọ ma anya no obi bisa say M-Fan 1 and M-Fan 2 na ebedru baby a yede bebo ma na we match M-Fan 1 and 2 mere fe no no man kan wa asemba eno no so se na Anthony no kan no say yenhu nsem na omde ba no yenhu mu fi mu ni na wie nti eno na se yeti ni na ase nyoma nkitinkiti na ehihye mu ni na yeti ni na ase bia na fe de yetumi ehu se emra so say yede bebo ma na ma should we merge it or shouldn't we merge it? The details of the exchange program are not yet out clearly, and there are still discussions going on. So once we get to know and we understand, definitely we will take decisions in the best interest of the clients, no doubt.
All right, thank you. So one person commented that you should also try and speak away. Because
I don't understand the I'll get maybe Debato can do it in a way. He speaks away.
So
yeah, that's one. I beg.
We will still try and expand the number of languages, definitely. Now, a couple other questions. So, all right. One person says she bought a 182-day treasury bill that will mature in March of next year. And at the time, she had indicated that it should be rolled over, but she wants to now cancel the request for it to be rolled over. So her question is, will staff be reporting to work on January 10th as we've notified? Or could the date be extended? She wants to know because she would need to fill out a form and append her signature.
Okay, so yeah, I understand where she's coming from, but as we speak today, as we are speaking with you today, our plans haven't changed for reopening. We are still monitoring the situation very, very closely. Somebody even asked, but why can't you even provide security for the staff so that you can keep it open? And we tried that. If some of you may not know, but the media took it up, spun it differently, and said we brought men there to prevent people from entering, a whole lot of things. But as we speak now, the plan is still to reopen as we originally stated. We are monitoring the situation very closely, and we'll take the decisions by the hour. But that said, you don't need to physically come into the office to be able to do the transaction that you want to do, be it a deposit, a withdrawal, an instruction, whatever it is. You can go onto the website, but right now you can call our line 0302-610-610. I must warn you that they are being inundated, so sometimes you may not be able to get through. But you can also send an email to info. Jillian, you can help me out, but info@databankgroup.com.
Yes.
The forms will be sent to you. You can do all that you need to do and scan it back or send it back, and the instructions will be carried out. You do not need to be physically present. We are available digitally, online, remotely, everything, and we will process your transactions for you.
And just for clarity, we actually reopened on the 3rd of January, not the 10th. So January 10th was the date that we had set for the physical opening, but come January 3rd, all the phone lines are open, the staff are working, checking email, responding. So it's just this week that we are actually closed for the holidays. The next comment is about, sorry, the question is, what is the risk if I'm leaving my money with you until everything becomes normalized again? Because I was told in 1 to 2 years, everything will be fine.
Well, I don't know who said that, but that's our expectations are that everything will be fine at the shortest possible time. At least in the few meetings we have been in, that is the desire, because there are vulnerable people who are being impacted. And if we should look at other examples that have happened in other countries, they've come back to normalcy. I mean, Zambia was probably in a worse state than we are, but I think Zambia is coming back on track. Kenya is also on track. So we believe that we will also get back on track in the shortest possible time. But I can't at this point in time put a finger to a specific time frame, but we believe that the IMF also have a desire to get us back on track as soon as practical.
Then the next question is, where can we readily get the mark-to-market share prices? Because calling customer service is a bit tedious. Maybe I'll just quickly answer that one. So currently you can see it if you go onto our online services platform. If you register for that, you can see the difference in prices and also the difference in your balance. Equally, we have now updated *6100 so that when you go there and you check your balance or you're going to place a withdrawal request, you will see both balances, both the amortized value and the mark-to-market value. So it's on our redemption portal, it's on *6100, and it's on our online services platform. We are yet to update our website, but we'll be working on that as well. All right, so next question was, with the current uncertain situation, will you honestly advise those of us investors who have regular monthly direct debits from our banks to continue with such arrangements?
Yeah, so I get that question a lot. And the honest answer I always give is, you know what? Yes, I can understand that there's a bit of uncertainty and all, but the money we always invest properly and legally through the right channels. If you are not confident and you can keep your discipline, this is what I always say, if you can keep your discipline of not just chopping the money, I would recommend that you do not stop your standing order, at least not the standing order. Maybe your extra cash you normally have come physically to put in, it would have, you can decide to keep that. But the standing order helps. It makes you, it's an involuntary action, which really, really helps. And a lot of us do not have the discipline to keep that money. If the standing order doesn't move, you will use it. You will use it. So if you do not have the discipline, as most of us do not have, I will not recommend that you stop your standing order. I will not recommend it, but I leave it to you, because as you can see, we're already charting for M-Fund. We are moving the money away from the kind of volatility we have right now into a much, much less volatile environment. I mean, some people have already even come to try a withdrawal on their tier 2, and the withdrawal has happened. But if you believe that you are disciplined and you can do your own saving, and you not even go and put it in some very risky thing that then now that one bends at all, I still leave that to you. Ultimately, the decision is yours. But the answer I always give is, we normally do not have that discipline to really keep the money sitting in our bank account. We'll chop it, and I don't think you should be doing that. That's my recommendation.
So maybe the only thing that I would add to your answer is that given the times that we're in, make sure that you have some liquid cash nearby so that you can access, because the truth is the fund management companies are all taking longer than normal to pay because of what is happening. So if you know that putting the money in, you're going to need it 5 days later or 10 days later, then make sure that the amount you put in or whatever you are still putting in is not what you will need immediately, and you still have some set aside for that. Okay, so the next question is, how is Databank situation different from other banks that collapsed not long ago? So with the banking sector cleanup a few years ago.
So first of all, we are not a bank. Let me make that very clear.
Then let me extend your question to the fund management companies, just so that we capture everything.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Then I'll just make it a financial service. Look, I don't usually like to go into what happened to somebody and as if maybe we are holier than thou and all that. I honestly do not like that. I like to explain exactly where we have put the money. It is clearly audited. The financials are there. The audited reports are there. Everybody can see exactly where it is that we have put. I actually picked a copy of the M-Fund annual report. This is the one we just finished. Just so you see in here, I know I'll just put it as close. This is the custodian's report, GT Bank. You can see that's the custodian, and the custodian has listed all where we have put our monies right there, very transparently, so that you can see where the money has been invested. Have we broken any rules? Have we broken any laws? And I've said here over and over and over again that those monies are sitting in Government of Ghana paper. As long as the government owes you, the government will pay you. We are not like we went and gave the money to a contractor who came to tell us that they had a government contract. So there is no third party situation we have right now. The equities one, we also, the report is there. It also shows you where it is that we have invested all the monies. In EPAC, you see the holdings in Ghana, in Egypt, in wherever, and again, that is the Standard Chartered, that's the custodian, Standard Chartered, and that's their report, showing you where all the monies have been taken. And I said that when we need to sell, we go and sell and come and pay you. So I don't really like saying, oh, these people, they did this or they did that. No, what I like to stick to is to show you that we've been transparent, we've been open. In this case, we gave money to the Government of Ghana, which was supposed to be the least riskiest asset holder in the country. until maybe now, but they are yet to pay us. And we are not hiding away from that. We are being very open and clear. The reason we've had to close the doors is primarily to protect the lives of our clients and also of our staff, who were then now being verbally and physically assaulted because of some clients who had lost patience with us, understandably so, because they had things to do. So that's how I would like to answer that question.
Okay, and please remember to balance it out. I know everybody speaks three. Someone also asked whether you could explain the debt exchange program in French. I know you speak some small French.
S'il vous plaît, not to that extent. Je parle français un peu, mais c'est trop technical, if I should put it that way. C'est très technical. Je n'ai pas parlé français avec ça, s'il vous plaît.
Okay. So, all right, let's continue. So,
yeah, I'll try and balance it out, but yeah, I'll try and continue to balance it out.
Thank you. Now, another client says treasury bills appear unaffected. The quotations seem to remain the same. Any reason why?
Okay, so what it is that the treasury bills, which are normally 91 days to 364, to put it in very simple terms, they are not tradable paper. They are not tradable government of Ghana paper. Normally you hold to maturity. So you hold it 91, then you take your money or you roll over. You hold it 182, you take your money or you roll over. It's not something that we trade. It's the bonds, 2 years going. That's where we create a market and then we trade them, because then somebody has a 5-year bond, but they don't want to hold it all the 5 years. Maybe after 3 years, now they are tired of it, then they trade it, so they sell it. And then so to have 2 years to maturity and all that. So that's the main reason why. So the 91 to 364 are usually not tradable. However, if you have been doing some discounting, you realize that if the 182 day is not due and you say, oh, it's after 70 days, you want your money, they will give you the money, but at a very heavy discount, because the person who is taking it off you is likely to go and borrow some money to pay you the money so that they can pay for that difference. So that's why you see that stability in the treasury bill space.
Okay, so the next question is, a number of people have asked this question in different ways. One is, how will you advise investors, or will you advise investors to continue investing?
So
and what advice would you give to them at this point?
The question is yes. You know, you never should stop investing. That's the view I have. It's just you always have to understand that there's a risk in whichever investment it is that you're doing. I've said here again that we always were told or experienced that government was the least riskiest. You should never, as for stopping investment, I will not recommend that anybody stops investing, because really when you get the cash and you keep the money in cash and it's under your pillow, or it's even in a bank account that you can easily access through an ATM, and trust me, you will definitely spend the money. Now there are some who will tell me, oh, sika wekra. So question I will be some say, now still I any investment na make I say e bin kra to me ba me ho ka chem say na sika wekra medical ma me anto kanshi na the ton nwo ana bibi anka menya ho mfaso no kra say sa na obedri, but o kanshi for no so omo ton ade na omo boka omo kan dro bia o to me boka nso wo ho nti investing in the baby obewo bia etumi koso etumi ba from ne on say this is the first time I hear who say obi kita aban krata afi de aban ka che ne say mintu ya oka ye hu bi sada nti na aba ne sa na min tu for say invest in nijai na emo se say ne na so ye krapa ye frɛ ye ho fund managers ye so ye esua ne omani ye esua de ne omani isi no ye di esua nyansa mo ye di tu ye ho fo ye de ma ye more experience a ye betumi de sika no so a bar, Newman from ye de still ye benyam faso. But mechanical creature, and yes, obi nese, near me catch him say, Ujai, Nasikana show bottom, Ubedi. Upan so obi beka say and yes, me de to asase crapo and can fast asase crapo no in some egu no afi de wo akwakoto asase na ewie no na ehu nsem ina say ochina say by the time crowd beton asase no kra na ehu ka wabo no kra waboka enso e bia unhu because in that crowd so in ehu say 5,000 no say 3,000 na ye ka say okodwe na modi misika into investment de obey bia risk idea baby ani wa edem trodo but no kwene nyame in 32 years ya ejuma o Databank hu say aban krata in samaba hu say that hu sa that. So I'll never advise that you completely stop investing. You can always invest, but yes, today this is the situation with government debt. And that's what we're experiencing. Some people come and shout and say, if I even bought a piece of land, I'll be better off, forgetting that this piece of land and its litigations and all, by the time you are even finishing and trying to sell the land, you're probably losing, or you can even lose the land altogether. We've seen people who've come taking their monies to say they're going to buy a piece of land and it's all gone to zero. But because it's not obvious on a piece of paper, and of course, we are easy target, people then come attacking us.
So I'm going to read someone's comments. And so he says, and fair enough, I think many people share his view, but he says he thinks heads must roll. Didn't the manager see this coming? Hey, why is it moving? In fact, you have made our festive season unenjoyable. A whole data bank. I can't fathom. And so I think it's a good opportunity to explain that it's the extent of the industry issue that we have. And hopefully it will answer the question for others who also think the same.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, there are people who have asked that, oh, but couldn't you see this coming, etc., etc. And please note that also each of the funds has its own boards, and all decisions that are taken is not just the fund manager who takes a decision. We go through a rigorous approval process. And I would like to reiterate that because we are probably coming out talking to clients, we are the biggest, we are the widest, it's making it look like it is a data bank problem. It is not a data bank problem. It is an industry problem. Some people may not admit, but if you go to our competition, they are facing a similar situation. It's just they are not as big and not as widely distributed. So maybe we are not hearing, but we go into meetings with our competitors. We go into meetings with the regulators. The situation is the same. Everybody is in the same soup. Nobody can tell us that they are holding a government of Ghana paper and they've been able to sell and paid the clients. When mark to market came, if you recall, we were the last firm literally to even implement, because we were having conversations with the regulator to see how best we could cushion it. Our competition already went mark to market way back, but there wasn't so much noise. As soon as Databank went mark to market, the whole market started talking and exploding. It's a function of our size. But I hear you when you say, oh, but couldn't we see this coming, heads must roll? But it's not a singular act of any one person at Databank that has caused this. We have boards, we have investment committees, we analyze things, we research. And like I say, who would have thought that government, a whole government will actually default? And even if, let's say we saw it 6 or whatever months ago, we couldn't have sold all the bonds at the same time. There will not be any market even for it to be sold. So yeah, I know it's a very difficult one. I know all of us, our festive season has not gone very well at a time like this, but we will do our very best to fix it as soon as we can, together with the regulator.
Okay, so the next question says that you've explained the domestic debt exchange. So the follow-up question is, does it mean that if I need to withdraw my money for urgent use, will I get it or not? And someone else has a question, how long will it take to receive a redemption request? And you can address it for the various funds. I don't know if you want to just do one answer for all, or you want to talk to the difference between M fund and.
It will actually be one answer for all. And so the fact of the matter is, for funds that hold Government of Ghana securities, as of today, we do not have the liquidity to be able to meet those withdrawals. That's the truth of the matter, because we have nothing to sell, and there are no transactions happening. Coupons are all on hold because of all the conversations that are going on. Where it is that we do not hold a Government of Ghana security, and maybe it's a stock we hold, say EPAC is holding some Fan Milk or Goil or Total, and the market is liquid and available to sell, to pay, we will do so. What is exacerbating the situation is the lack of liquidity coming from Government of Ghana. That is the reality that we are faced with right now.
Okay, so I'll ask, the next question says, if I'm to withdraw money from my M Fund account, will I get the actual balance or the market value? Because I see both when I check my balance. Now, I'll ask you, there are a few other people who joined late and asked for a quick explanation of the two. So in answering this person's question, just keep those in mind who are still trying to figure out what the difference is between the two, and give a short answer.
Okay, I'll try and keep it short. So you will be given your market value. And I go back again to the regulator's directive, because what the regulator started realizing was that the market price of government paper was dropping, and dropping quite drastically. Traditionally, or in years past, we've always held the government papers to maturity. And even when we haven't held to maturity, the price that you would normally sell it at is not far away from the face value, or what we call the amortized value. So normally you would buy a bond, the face value is 100, and then maybe its interest is, say, 1 cedi, and then that's what you will be getting. What happened then was that 100 was quickly dropping to 70, 60 in some cases. So what the regulator realized was, no, if we allow fund managers to still be paying people when they come their 100 cedis, where will they be getting that difference from? They will be passing it through the fund. And it will mean that those of us who are staying, who haven't come in to take our money, are taking the loss. So the regulator said, no, you can't keep doing that. You can show them the two prices, but you have to give them the money at the market price. When you go to any market, it is the market price that you buy it. You don't buy something at what you bought, the cost price, for want of a better expression. You buy it at the market. So that is what created the difference. And today, if you come, and the regulator said it has come to stay, we will always give you the market price. It is not, we are not used to it in the fixed income space in Ghana, but it has come to stay. And as we go along, we'll be learning out of it, and we'll be doing things at market value.
Okay, so the next question is, if an individual bondholder has his bond maturing January 3rd, 2023, can the person redeem his investment? That's part one. The second part is, what happens if an individual bondholder refuses to join the debt exchange program?
Okay, good. So I can't answer the 3rd January one. If it is a treasury bill, which is 0 to 364 days, yes, the person will get their money. But if it is a bond, I can't answer that question because we don't have the details of the debt exchange program. Previously, individuals were exempted. So I think I would have said yes to the answer. But now that they brought them in, I honestly can't answer. Now, the extent to which an individual can opt out or not as well, we don't have the details of that. And if an individual then does not exchange their bond, it will mean that come maturity, technically government still owes you your money. But the issue is if the bond, you are not part of the program, I don't know, I can't tell whether government has the liquidity to be able to pay you or not. So right now, the details are not available. They just announced that individuals will now be part of the program and they left it at that without giving us further details.
Okay. So someone is asking, why does the market value balance keep changing? Sometimes if you check, it will be on the increase, sometimes it drops.
Just like any market, prices go up, prices come up, down. And I would wish that some of us, if we were in those of us who were in EPAC, will notice that sometimes prices go up, prices come down. Now, what is happening is that on the transactions, the pricing of the fixed income market comes from transactions on the Central Securities Depository, what we call the CSD. So depending on the activity that happens on the CSD, the price will be determined. So that is where we are now getting the fixed income pricing from. Just like how we get the equities pricing on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The same thing is now happening on the fixed income market, on the securities and the Central Securities Depository. So that is where the active, so depending on the kind of activity that has happened on the CSD, prices will either go up or come down. That's what is happening.
Okay, thank you. Someone else says he bought GOG bonds through Databank, and now that individuals have been included in the debt exchange program, what will that mean to him? He says, kindly clarify. Recently, government asked that individuals could exchange their bonds. What does that mean? And so you've touched on it already in different forms. So just for the sake of repetition, I think maybe the government had said that they would give us more details this week. So once we get that, then I think we'll be able to provide more
answers.
Yeah, more answers. Right now, everybody is still waiting for the details. Okay, the next question is, okay, so somebody is asking, why do we still take money from customers knowing very well that current measures in place are not favorable for investment? So why are we still allowing people to deposit?
Okay, I don't think that, to be honest, I don't think we force anybody to deposit, but like I've said several times here on this call, especially for M-Fund, it is particularly the reason why we created M-Fund 2, so that, because ethically we didn't think it was right for your money to come and then overnight it drops. So we have shepherded all that new money into M-Fund 2, where we are currently investing in very, very, very short-term instruments, like up to 91 days of fixed deposits, very, very short, as we can't really read too far into the future right now. But it's entirely up to you. I got a question on the standing order. So it's entirely up to you. To the final decision, lies with you. But I always advise that if you do not have the discipline, I'll not advise you stop. But yeah, that's what we are currently doing. Nobody has been forced to come in.
Okay. And someone else says, as a follow-up to a previous client's question and your response, does it mean that all withdrawal requests that have been made will be pending until the debt exchange program settlement is concluded?
I think the way I'll answer is that it will be pending until such time that liquidity is available. That's the answer, because we are pushing the regulators very, very hard to provide us with liquidity, irrespective of what is happening now in the debt exchange, especially after the first postponement. Once the first postponement happened, we started telling the regulator that, look, while you are doing your negotiations, we need to pay clients. So you need to provide us with some liquidity because it's your paper we are holding.
All right, the next question, sorry. Okay, the question is actually for SEC, Anthony, so I'll put it over to you because he specifically said question to SEC. They said, please, I would like to know the role of SEC in such banking issues, because I am a victim of the collapsed institutions. Until date, I have not had my money. So they would like to know, what is the role of SEC during this time?
Hi, Gillian. If I understand the question, what is the role of the SEC during this time?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sure the time is referred to as the debt exchange. Is that right?
I would say if I put myself in their shoes, then I would say during this the current financial crisis that we are
Okay.
in, given that they had been burned, it seems, from the previous
Okay.
cleanup.
Okay. So the regulators mandates, I think I've rehashed that a couple of times, is to ensure a stable market where investors as well of the integrity of the market are protected. Okay, so so it's a broad responsibility. So when this whole thing started, I think that the regulator's response was to ensure that investors remaining in the funds, where the market operators were selling bonds lower than the carrying values of those investments. The regulator's response was to give a directive that no, this cannot continue, because we needed to protect the investors. So that is the rule, to ensure that the integrity of the market is protected, as well as the investors are protected in this case. So I think Kojo has explained that. We have explained in the previous engagements where we indicated that so if you we distributed the money, and then those remaining in the funds do not have anything really for them to, for it to be distributed to them, then of course there's going to be a challenge. So on that score, the regulator came in to say that, well, if people want to exit at this point where the bond prices are quite depressed, then you have to exit with parting with the value that is currently those securities are trading. Okay, so that is the role of the regulator. In terms of the debt exchange and all these, I think this is a call. I think we all know that this is the call of the IMF, because we have engaged the IMF. So the one of the things that is requested by the government of Ghana is to reduce its debt to GDP up to about 55%. Of course, this is one of the conditions they have to do. So the regulator's responsibility in this case, we do not have a role. We do not have a role in that regard. This is Ministry of Finance. They take full responsibility over that. They normally they engage the IMF. The only thing the regulators would do, which Bank of Ghana or National Insurance Commission would do, is to provide data on the market that we have. So based on that, certain decisions would. So the decisions that we are finding here, well, we saw in the media, we all saw it at the same time. It didn't come to the commission before it got to the investors. So we all read it. So that is the rule. Just to give a little background of what we do. Julian, I hope that covers the question.
Thank you. I hope it does for the client as well. Okay, so all right, the next question is, oh, we've answered this one already. Okay, so there was a question, Kudra, about why not just show the mark-to-market value in the statements, and also do the mutual funds have maturity dates?
Okay, so I mean, I think in the early stages when the whole mark-to-market thing was coming up, this issue was debated, but it was so new to clients that just suddenly, you get your statement today and then you get your statement tomorrow and you've lost 20% of it. We thought it would be more chaotic than at least them understanding that some directive had come and the market had changed, and that is the reason why. So this was really debated, and indeed, the whole industry went down that route. We and all our competition went down that route. Asem no bisa and say, Adentina, tama, you say mark to market asem ne buy, young ka say okay, say nisika na me ne buy, eswati say abase, inti sa neti. But you're doing one year can say there be confusion anka eno de bebana more class say ebia Jordan ubeje o balance near say Jordan balance near 100 cedis afa de will go down by na swati boom yan country yan chrowe yan church mu ni enti e course an enti eno de ye dwen ho pa, but you feel say e ba say ye kire mienu no e bo na anka ne mark na etina and sana mark to market ne buy chese na ne bo ne so atina abano amanfo start ti ase mo et se dwem a uko na ebia no pe uko dwem no na ye say bibi boy say afedia ade eche ya uko na eso boati ana itumi kosro nia na sana na ade ne ntina enu ntina ye chere two prices in that, because just overnight showing only the mark to market was going to create more chaos than anything else. So it gave us an opportunity to explain. To me, say same thing nebono abafom.
Okay, thank you. So another question says, assuming the government is unable to provide liquidity now, and there's a rollout of the debt exchange program and the new bond modality is issued, say to 2027, will change of government affect our investment emphatically, providing liquidity for redemption payment?
Okay, so in the debt exchange program paper itself, if you recall, it was clear that they will provide a financial stability fund. Indeed, if we all recall, a figure was put up of 15 billion cedis at the time that was announced, that will be the financial stability fund to support the liquidity needs of fund managers while the bonds were then now trading and finding their market level. So that is still, I believe, the situation. The financial stability fund is part of the debt exchange program, and they will provide liquidity through that channel. I don't know if now, with the way things are going, that figure will go up beyond 15 billion or whatever will happen. Now, change of government. I mean, we will recall that there have been several change of governments where we are in the middle of IMF programs. IMF doesn't deal with political parties. IMF deals with government of Ghana. So whatever it is that, I mean, the program would put down, any government that comes, unless they want to opt out as members of the IMF, they will have no option but to follow the program to the letter. The IMF doesn't deal with political parties. I think even this current government came and met an IMF program and even extended the IMF program beyond its original deadline. Inti obi bisa me say program ya aban dia to Joanna say aban sounds a day in Sans one and Sans one a day beba wo sika no and me chiri mu say IMF wo we enya wo mo ne NDC ne MPP enya NDC ne MPP asem no mo ka wo ba aban inti nhihye bia wo de beto ho bia aban bia obeba bia as I said, Udiso, she said, Pesa, only IMF ye Jumabio. And I feel so, no cressa bank cartano, one more trim, aquache cacra. Now, so one more announcements, one more count on my sema on the cartano tour. One more car say, one bisika cacra, a bet to ho, and me kai pass a one more 15 billion cities. I on the bet to ho. Am I in? You and yet, yepo, ye na, you industry na ye here. Ya betron krata ma no mbisikana kakra ma na ye de eso etua your clients.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, the individual says, when the dollar was high, he was advised to purchase dollars, not necessarily by us for the occasion, but now that the dollar has depreciated, what will your advice be?
I really don't know how to answer this question because I don't know whether he took buying dollar as an investment tool, but I don't think if you are not a currency trader, I'm not sure you should be doing that. But people buy dollars as a store of wealth. Sadly, in the anticipation that the CD will depreciate. I'm not sure why, as Ghanaians, we wish for our currency to depreciate, so we get more CDs. I mean, I really don't think so. So I rarely advise for that. I mean, if you buy dollars, why are you keeping it under your bed with the risk? Are you keeping it in the bank? What are you doing? So I don't advise, unless you are a professional currency trader, that you go down that path. But hey, again, the final decision rests with you.
Okay. Now, the next question says, let's say my market price on November 28th was 500. I request for a withdrawal on that value. The withdrawal is yet to be processed. Now my market value is 600 as at today. Am I entitled to the 100 CDs?
Sorry, Jillian, you have to repeat your question.
Okay, so the individual is saying, she's giving an example and she's saying, imagine that the market price, or let's say her market value on November 28th was 500 CDs. And she requests for a withdrawal based on that value. The withdrawal has not been processed yet. Now, as she's checking her balance and the market value has now gone up to 600 CDs, because remember, we don't process until the liquidity is available. So the value is now higher at 600, but she put in the request at 500. So she wants to know if she's entitled to the 100 CDs. So I can tell you what we did.
Yeah.
So what we did was we will process it using the date that you submitted.
You submitted because it's what you saw. That's what we said.
Yes, and we did that especially at a time that the market value was going down. It hadn't even started to come up a bit yet. And so it wasn't fair to people that they would see, for example, 500.
And then later on, 400.
Exactly, 400. And then because we delayed to process it, then they get the 400. So what we did was, no matter how long it takes to process, we would use the date that you actually submitted the request. So in this case, you would still only get the 500.
500.
But if you don't need the money urgently, then, and we're now seeing some small corrections, you can actually cancel your request and leave the money there, and then at a later date, if you need it.
But Jillian, let's quickly add
Mhm.
that the number of units, we do not touch the number of units. People should make that distinction. I think some people think that when the value of their money drops, it means that the number of units too went away. If you monitor your units, you will notice that your units remain same.
Yep.
I thought I should just chip that in.
Yeah. That's good. The next question is, the person says, assuming that I currently have 5,000 as amortized value and 2,000 as a market value, what will happen to my investment if I do not do any withdrawal for the next 5 years or more?
Okay, so I can't predict the future, but and I always quickly go back to the EPAC example, because those of you who have EPAC have experienced such situations where their market value has dropped quite significantly. I think there have been years we've had negative return, So you brought 100 and a certain year, your value is now 70. But then in another year or two, it goes up to 160. So that volatility we've always seen in EPAC and in the stocks is now coming to bear in the fixed income market on the CSD. And it is something that I cannot predict what will honestly happen in 2 years' time. In Ghana's economy right now, I don't think I can. I mean, as things stand now, every few hours, things even change. So I can't really promise that it will definitely come back to your 5,000. But we know the theory suggests that the market always corrects. And we believe that, especially with the fiscal discipline that we anticipate the IMF will bring into the economy, the market will correct.
Okay, and then there is a client that said, please give me the address for the platform where I can check my investment, and secondly, send a withdrawal request. So I'll give it to you, but I will also ask the team to just put the information in the chat so that others can see it. So if you want to submit a withdrawal request, you can actually do it by sending an email to info@databankgroup.com, or you can go to our website, www.databankgroup.com, and click on digital services. There you will see a link for online services that you can register, you can check your balance, get your statements, all of that. And you'll also see a link for the redemption portal that you can submit a redemption. So there are options available, and we'll put them in the chat for those who need to use it. Okay, the next question is, okay, somebody wanted to know how to stop a standing order on their bank account. Just send an email to info@databankgroup.com. Give us your name, account number, the fund that it is going into, and the amount, and let us know the instructions, whether you want to stop, change the amount, so forth. And then we will process it. Someone is asking, does the mark-to-market value thing affect only M Fund, or does it affect other funds too?
It affects all funds. All funds are marking to market right now. And the funds that have equities in them were already being marked to market. It's just in the last years for fixed income, we were not really doing the mark to market, and there was not much volatility. But now that the volatility has been introduced, all funds will now be marked to market.
Okay. Then the next question is for the tier 2 for M fund. Is it a different account that was opened for each investor, or is it included in the same account the clients are holding? This is because some of us have a standing order into such funds like M fund.
Okay, so if you recall, since we changed our systems and gave you the long, I think it's 13-digit account number, we have now the ability under that same account number to break down all the different funds that you have. So you can see your B fund, M fund, AC fund. In the same way, if you check, you see your M fund tier 2. Now, what it is we've done is for the standing orders, even though you say, when you said it is M fund, by default, we are not taking it into the original M fund account. We are automatically taking it all into M fund tier 2 because of the kind of volatility that is happening in the original M fund account. So the standing order remains. Once we know that you are hitting M fund, we will automatically divert it to M fund tier 2. That's what is happening. And you can check, please check so that we also have the feedback that what we have put in place is actually what is happening. And if there are any issues, so we can deal with it. Please check for us.
Okay, so someone is asking, at the moment, the actual value of our money has reduced, but assuming things normalize, will the value of the money increase?
Sorry, Jillian, a bit of a distraction here. Repeat the question.
Okay, so the question is, at the moment, the actual value of our money has reduced, but assuming things normalize, will the value of the money increase?
I cannot confidently tell you that, yes, it will increase. Like I said, we are now going into a situation where we are all in the market. In markets, prices go up and prices come down. So I can't, it will depend on the kind of activity, the kind of bonds that are coming through, the view the market will have. So many factors are now coming into play. And so I can't really confirm. But yes, it can go up, but it can also come down. That's how I'll answer the question.
Okay. Then someone else is asking why their withdrawal request was impacted by the debt exchange program, even though they made the request before the government introduced the program.
Okay.
And answer that one in English and
okay.
and Ewe and French.
So, okay, that's true. So prior to the announcement of the debt exchange program, if you all recall, I had said again that the mark-to-market directive came. Now, when that directive also came, what was happening also was because the prices of the bonds had dropped so steeply and drastically, going into the market to even sell the bond was becoming very difficult. The bonds were not attractive anymore. So to get a buyer was taking longer than, I mean, at first we are even being begged, to sell bonds, and we're not. But what was happening was that now getting buyers for the bond was delaying. So already the mark-to-market directive, together with the price depression and all, was creating delays in meeting the redemption request. Then the debt exchange program was announced, and that made matters even worse. Until you be and say, I didn't think I'm here can say debt exchange program na abind the abano enuntina kahumbitina yen to mean to musikana mo baby sign na ono bisa ne sikano ansana sa announcement never na meji to mu say no cre but obekaya answer na sa debt exchange announcement ne cry ba na mark to market sem no so aba ama se say no ba abankrata na ekita na ne bona ba form say yenye obi kra po ma onto na ye dia osika abe ma nti ya ye odwem a ye ton ye bodonko mi ton so obi ani ho a o pese oto nti no so na ma yenya sika no kra emba mitua mo na eche na eche e na afa de abinde detection nso be bom e na ma asem ni na ekoye sene etisise ya nti especially one towards end of November holiday no cre one beto mu, even though I want beside just before no one beto that exchange them.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, just in time.
So the next question is, someone says, it looks like the more money you have invested in your account, the more you lose or you are losing. Is that the case? It's relative, but you
I
can.
think it's a ratio. Yes, it's a ratio. So that the loss was a percentage. So definitely, once it's a ratio, the more you have, the absolute figure will be bigger. So somebody who obviously has 100, 25% of 100, is more than 25% of 50, something like that.
Okay. Someone says their network is not very good, so they couldn't hear you very well, but they wanted to know if the debt exchange program would affect the 364-day treasury bill, because he has his whole life in the 364-day T-bill.
From the current information we have, treasury bills are still exempted, and 0 to 364-day is not part of the program. From what we know now, please, if it changes, don't go and quote me. I beg.
Okay. Next, because we have about 10 minutes left, and then we will come to the end. It says, where and how do I check my mark-to-market value and amortized value? I'm asking because he's not seeing both. I had answered earlier, but you can go to, you can dial *6100# if you have MTN or Vodafone. You will see it there. You can also go online to our online services portal on our website. And the website address is www.databankgroup.com, and you'll be able to see it there. So I will ask the marketing team that is listening to please put the information in the chat so that people can see it. You will be answering quite a number of questions by doing that. Thank you. All right. There was another question about, he says, please, is it true that now that prices of instruments like EPAC are low, it's advisable to invest more to get more shares, which will yield more benefits when prices increase? So is it good?
Oh, yeah, the theory suggests that you buy low, you sell high. And so when prices are low, you buy, you get more. Yes, you get more units, or you get more shares, so that the day prices go up, you find yourself really gaining quite a lot. And we've seen that in the past. The data is available. If you go onto the website, you see how that works. So it's what most fund managers strongly advise, that you buy low and then you sell high. So if the prices are currently depressed, it's always a good time to get into the market, because I've said it once already, the market always corrects.
Okay, the next question is, can I do a withdrawal from M-Fund 2? And the answer is yes. Just follow the normal process for the withdrawal. Then the next question. All right, so someone says they asked a question about 40 minutes ago and no one is answering me. So the questions are still coming in, and there are actually still, I think, 200 in the queue, which we cannot get through in the next 10 minutes. But even after we end the meeting and we stop taking questions live, we will still be online answering the questions that are in the Q&A. So we will do our best to still get through all the questions that have been asked. Okay, the next question is, second. This individual gained admission into a particular school, and the deadline for payment is coming up, and they are unable to withdraw, but they don't want to lose their admission because they invested their money actually for the admission, and they're asking for help and if there's anything that can be done.
So I think we've done a few of that, where we actually did a letter to the school with the statements of the client, just like we would do for the visa request at the embassies, stating that the client indeed has that, and then explain that due to the current macroeconomic crisis, government debt exchange program, lack of liquidity, etc., we have not been able to meet the client's request, but we will do that immediately the liquidity is available and send that to the school. I can't vouch how the school reacts, but I think we've done a few such letters to help out potential students.
Okay, all right. Okay, so okay, sorry. So somebody's asking, they're making a comment about market value and okay, so again, I think it's worth re-asking it just so that they can get the answer. So the person says, paying customers at market value would not be fair, especially to customers who may have applied a month ago when the market price was a bit higher than the time you are paying. That wouldn't be fair. But I think we had already stated earlier that you will get paid based on the dates that you submitted. So even if it delays 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we will still honor the price that you saw on the date that you submitted your request. So that's how we have tried to make it as fair as possible. And then another question is asking Kojo, if the market normalizes, can the market value be higher than the actual balance? So could it go the other way, that the market value is higher than the amortized value?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But yes, it's possible. I mean, it depends on the demand. Sometimes, yes, bonds are traded at premiums, at high premiums. So that is a possibility. I haven't really experienced it too much, but it is a possibility. It depends. It's all market forces. It's all market forces. Demand, supply, price go up, price come down. That's what happens. So it's possible, but in our part of the world, we haven't experienced this kind of volatility before, so we are yet to see. But theoretically possible.
And someone says, please always remember the tree people are listening.
Yes, I know. I get it. I get that. I've done quite a bit, but some of it, questions ma year no tree ni mo down. Inti question one more sign repeat ara keke inti na ya na ebia me de brofo na afem na say only akonso atro question no brofo na e bibia me year no down me de tree year no a na me feel so me sign catch na but me to me akensi so say obi bisa say say obana say ebo na otro wo krata no so origin no because ya check ansa na ye tua na say be dru ho no na bo na san ba forma enye papa say ye de ebo say bia oba no hu 500 na fe de dru time ye be tua na 400 ye tua 400 na ye tua 500 na me say o de be ye tua 500 ebo na hu ye no eno na a market bo no enye face value there no but edwemu bo na ohu ye na no na ye de be ma obi nso bisa po say ene na ekosre na msi o we there say yeah ye obi hu no da na oba ye no na otro krata no say no say ye na ye ya chekra na ye di na otweme ensakra ansa na ye tua de ohu ye na no na ye betua.
Okay, so the last question, and again, I think answer in as many languages as you can. And I think I know Anthony had said he was stepping into another meeting, but he's still online. So I'll ask him to give his comments as well on this question if he can. But the person says that Databank should apologize for investing our monies in bad government businesses. And so I think it's a good opportunity to let them know that it's not the typical businesses that we went about investing in. So if you can just kind of re-clarify what it is that Databank and many other investment companies invested in.
Yeah, into the American say, asema atu Ghana, and yes, say, atu Databank, Neo Moon say, yen yes, super, yen I who dom doors. Inti say, asem say, ba, na say, Databank, and yepe. Yen na, yes, ijuma we na, yen na, kind. Only a cause yen patch, and mum, yebe, a child, ebe patch or say. Ne ato aban a eno aka yin na aka obia o ne aye adwuma ache nsem we aba e chopa de ye be patcho ba me patcho no mamu man fa ne se ye pe na asem na to ye pe na asem no to ye na enye se ye de ko share aban adwuma bi mu yanko enye se aban ye ekwan bi obebi na ye si o na ye mfa sika ne ma contractor no na se oye kwan ni we na aban ni tua na mfaso ne ba na ye de aban ya anya ne sa sika no ye de ma aban direct direct enye say ye de akoma ye de akosha aban edwuma bi na efri say ye wo ye na e de ben investment ana e de ben edwuma wo de be ye a mfaso be ba ho chan aban. I mean the most least risk investment is government, and this is not third-party government, direct government exposure, direct. Yeah, the Shabansa direct. And the unknown they call it, I know you're different. But once I had the amount and very soon, I so train. It has no pose. Obi be catch and so we are now be dada and say, oh, or yeah, by Juma be waha. In the end, the man is kakra. So buying to Yanaka, na fe di druba no mum na catch is buying to Yanaka. And also, an yen to me buy her direct. Nanka entisa anka yen to me buy her direct, and no one to train come. But where they are buying to say no credit, what they are seeing or bentin brain, but mean to yaw, but in so meet yaw. Sana dear na koi, into mesrem, say, Muntia say, yepe, a mum, yen yes, into I to send ya, yepe, ye domine doors. Sana seminity.
All right, thank you. Anthony, I'm not sure if you're there. Then, okay, I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think he's still engaged in his other meeting. So it's 4 o'clock, and that is the time that we had intended to stop. So as I said, we will continue to try and answer questions even when we officially end the meeting. So please don't give up. We will do our best to answer the questions that remain. Thank you. Kojo, any final words?
Yes, fine. Of course. First of all, I have to thank everybody again. Very, very good questions. Very insightful feedback. And I would like to thank you all for your patience and understanding. And even those who don't understand and are upset, I understand, and we take the feedback on board, and we are pushing as hard as we can to try and get the liquidity that requires so we can pay you, because you've been our clients. Without you, we are not there. And so all I can say is please still exercise patience with us, and we would work hard at getting your money. Na in some na mo bisaya no so abawa asem in some na mo bisaya mu pa abawom yie a yenso ya fa ye no so ye bekwa akoda adwen hu yie na ne be bia ye be na ye da so ne aban di nkita ho ye ni wo mu di nkita ho pa ma ka chon se hwe ewie nipa me no ma be ekasa ebro ne wo ho na ese wo mu pe bibi wo mu ba enye se ye disika no ko ye bibi fufura na ye di ma obi mu an ye de amam e mo am krata na ekita Timo so dia amai ni etumi abetua muka mo man betua muka fane na ele hu madanye feshi minda mofia mo ni ba bo tu minda nyeshi Wakenye fe, wakenye non what ni ni sani neighbor. Shikani ekeba hawo waka ha how do you say government in Ghana? But wakaya ha government. Yes, ane ame pay oni oba anye no pay. She no neighbor, shikani waka ha ame na sane few ni amenye ame ka ha ni waka anye. She waka ame nwie. Won ha me pressure pi makpanye 5p. Won ha me pressure ke. Isane wa ame ke shika ha ni won hu oba anye wo pay ni. Ni mofia mo ina minshe. Sidiake wajigbeni wo small ni wakeshika hanye je na kan kla won fi no fi ano ni wo ba fi jake wo ke afi no ko ni ehi wo ka afi no ko ni hi kwen wonye wo ba no kenya awie ne ke alo wonye wo yata Germany wo ka ma awie ke minister ke governor ke no fi mo awie wo madanye shife thank you very much. I'll go and learn some air lessons. I'll go and freshen up my French so that, and then we'll get the Dagbani boys to also join us. So we expand the language base. Thank you very much and Happy New Year to all of you.
Thank you very much, Kojo. I would like to just call Emma to close us out in prayer and thank everyone as well for their questions and their time. And we will hope to do this again, not quite soon. We'll try and see if we can keep doing these sessions just to keep everybody up to date. So Emma, can you please just come on board and give us a closing prayer?
Thank you. Using this medium to calm our customers down. We pray for the good of this company, and we also pray that may thanks your name. This and many we've asked you, Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen and amen. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, everyone. So we will keep you posted on the date for another one of these sessions when we have more information. Thank you and have a good day. you.